This is John T for the Boxing Voice. I'm joined today by Super Featherweight Liam Dillon. How are you, Liam?
Not too bad, mate. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm really good, thank you. Well, you look like you're at home now. You've been training today or just in the week?
No, I've been training during the week. No training, so I'm going to chill out for the weekend. So got no fight coming up. Might as well take it easy.
Yeah, fair play. It's hard at the moment with lockdown. I'm sure we'll come on to that in a minute. I know you've been training and that still, so I'll ask about that in a second. But tell us a bit about yourself first. First time we've got you on here. You've got a good record as a pro. But how long have you been fighting in total? And tell us a bit about your amateur career.
I started boxing when I was 12. Started at Waltham Forest ABC. Started competing when I was about 13. I had a good amateur career. I kept active. I didn't win any titles, but I stayed boxing a lot of gym shows and just enjoyed it really. Just never really focused on a future in it or anything. I turned 18. I quit for a while. I was working, didn't really have time to train. A bit too tired getting home from work. But then I used to go down Sparta when I was a kid, like on weekends, and I started going back down there to get fit. Ended up doing a couple of unlicensed fights.
Cool.
It went pretty well. I had 4, 1, 3, and someone suggested to me about turning professional, and I've been professional boxing at Team Sparta since 2017.
So Team Sparta, that's down in Chingford, is it? Team Sparta?
Yeah.
Excellent. And who's your coach down there?
Steve Kipps and Bob Kipps, father-son duo. They've been part of the sport for a long time. Very experienced coaches. They used to be head coaches down Cranon Manor in Hackney.
Mm-hmm.
They've trained some top fighters from Matthew Chandler. They trained Jason Matthews, Ian Napper.
Yeah.
So, I feel very blessed to have them in my corner. With the experience and input they put in.
They've got lots of experience, as you said, so that'll put you in good stead. So
yeah.
Tell us a little bit then about your pro career. So you now, for anyone who's not aware, you've had 10 fights, you've got 9 wins and just a 1 draw. 2 fights back, you fought for your first title, which was a Southern Area title at Super Feather. How was that experience and how did the fight go?
I won 7th round stoppage. The truth was, for that training camp, that was the most nervous I'd been for a fight. I was very nervous about the opponent. I watched a few interviews of him, and he seemed he had a lot about him. David Birmingham. He was a former professional footballer.
Mm-hmm.
So it tells me he's a bit of a natural athlete to go from that to boxing.
Yeah, it must be 100%.
And he hadn't been boxing that long, and this was his second attempt at a title, which tells me he's a fast learner. Looking at some of his fights, I noticed that he improved rapidly between each fight. And I remember seeing an interview done with BBC, and gave me a bit of like butterflies in the stomach, where he was telling the interview it was his last shot at a title, and if he won it, he'd be making history as the oldest Southern Area champion.
Cool.
A lot of people wanted him to win that for that reason. I felt like I'm like the villain here. No one really wants me to win.
Nothing wrong with that, mate. We all have a villain.
Yeah, but my coach is Steve. He kept me very calm, because I think that was the first fight I ever actually got nervous for. So it was good for him to basically put the confidence back in me.
It's fair enough you were nervous. It was your first title fight. As you said, he brought a bit of noise with it, but you got the result on the night, and that was your first belt. So that then moved you on to your last fight, which gave you the opportunity. So again, the last fight was at York Hall. So before I come on to the last fight, I want to talk about York Hall a little bit, because you're an East London boy where you live in Chingford. York Hall's about 3 miles down the road in East London, and all 10 of your fights, am I right, they've all been at York Hall?
Yeah.
That's the second home.
Yeah, it's been like my home crowd kind of thing, but it's just easier for people because the train station's right there. Everyone knows it's pretty local. I mean, if I was looking at other fights in other places, I know a few of my friends have boxed down like the Brentwood Centre and places like that, but then I have to organise a coach and things like that. So it's just perfect. People just get on the train. There's plenty of pubs local as well.
Yeah, know them well.
So many. Like, you find one that's like 2 packed. So yeah, it's just brilliant. People go for a few drinks before, go to York Hall. Some people just want to watch my fight and leave. Don't want to stay for the whole show, so that's all right. And they can just go get something to eat because there's so many restaurants. Yeah, it's just just a great venue. I love it there, to be honest. I love watching boxing there.
Yeah, like I said, it must be home and easy for you to sell the tickets there because people ain't got to worry about getting in, as you said, coaches or travelling further up the country or down the country, etc. So that's good. And it's world famous, York Hall. You think of, we could sit here and list tons of names of people who have fought there before they've got onto the big lights and the TV, mate. Many of people. Right, well, let's talk about your last fight. So the last fight, funnily enough, was the one that was a draw. So you were 9-0, another step up in class after you beat David Birmingham. You were fighting for the English title, which was vacant at the time. Ended the draw on the night. I think one judge had you 3 points up, another one had the opponent 1 up, and then there was a split draw on the other card. So how was that evening?
Yeah, it was good because I was inactive for a while. After I won the Southern Area, I was buzzing to get back out. I ended up not failing a brain scan, but it postponed me boxing for a while. They found something. They wanted to do some further research. I had to go see a neuropsychologist.
Okay.
Yeah, and that all got sorted. I got my license back. It was nothing really, but it just put a bit of time because I was so active. I was boxing as frequent as I could to have like a long layoff. But yeah, the camp for my English title fight went really well. On the night, it was a massive learning curve.
Good.
I feel like out of all my fights, that was the biggest learning. A lot of people I spoke to had me winning the fight, but for me, I could have done better. Talking to my team and looking back on the fight with my coaches, there was a couple errors I made, which I could have made the distance a little bit better. I thought won the fight more convincingly than I did. Yeah, I'm glad it's a learning curve I had then and not later in my career.
It's interesting you talk about the learning curve because the amount of people I interview where they might have just come off the back of a loss or had the one solitary loss or draw, some spring to mind recently, and they say I learned more in that fight than I probably did in most of the other stuff because as you're stepping up those levels, Liam, and you're obviously better than the opposition you are when you're 2-0 and 4-0 and 6-0 because you haven't been tested yet. And then I'm not saying you start thinking you're invincible, but you start fighting someone of a similar standard to yourself that actually you do learn a lot more. So that put you in good stead. And the most important thing is you didn't actually get beat. So you still got an undefeated record. So the next question I'd be is, are you hoping that your next fight would be a rematch? Because it's still vacant, that belt.
This is where it got, because I asked for the rematch straight after it was a draw. You actually see a video of me when it got announced we were a draw, both our hands were raised. I said, we'll run it back. I ended up getting a phone call on the Monday. I was at work and hoping that a rematch would get announced because so many people were asking me about it because it was a really good fight.
Yeah.
I got a phone call saying that he's not going with the rematch. He turned it down.
Interesting.
Yeah, what I heard. This is from his coach. I'm Southern Area Max. I'm not good enough to be in the ring with him. And
that'd be silly after a draw, I guess.
And the English title is a nothing belt. It's just there to hold your career up. And they wanted belts that shine.
Well, that's interesting. As many people would probably disagree with him. I'll leave it at that one for there. It's a great belt, obviously, if you get that English one. So if he doesn't want that, and I know I've actually interviewed Steve this morning, your manager and your promoter. So I know that it's challenging at the moment getting these small hall shows back on for obvious reasons. You fighters, when you're at the level you're at, you need bums on seats. You need to sell tickets. So it might be a few months away before that happens. But I take it you want to go back in for that vacant title still, do you?
Yeah, I feel although it was a draw, I feel like I failed my last attempt. I mean, everyone's saying, you didn't lose, but to me, it felt like a loss because I didn't walk away with the belt. So in my head, I'm like, well, I'm back to where I was before. It's made no difference. So I think I was then arranged to fight the guy I fought, Yusuf. I was arranged to fight his teammate, Dennis. The fight got the show got cancelled, but before the show got cancelled, Dennis had pulled out the fight.
Right.
I don't really know why that was. he pulled out of the fight, and then I was still going to fight on the show. I was going to fight. I didn't actually have an opponent. I didn't know if it was going to be for the title or not. But yeah, it's a title I want. I wanted to do all the belt. I've done the Southern area. I wanted to do the English, and then potentially Commonwealth, British, European, and just like collect Infinity Stones like Thanos. Basically, that's how I looked at it. I just wanted to do every single belt.
Now, that's a natural way of doing it. I think there's many fighters that would want to do that. And if you can look back at the end of a career, hopefully that's a long way away for you. And you go, do you know what? I did do all them. Naturally, though, I suppose if you get to miss one because a big fight comes along and a big payday, and it's another step up, then that's understandable. So, look, obviously, we don't know whether you'll be fighting for that English title. But if you do, thinking around your division and similar weight, so you've got British level, you've got Anthony Kakachi, he's the champ there. How would you see yourself faring against him? Because if you're fighting for English title, mate, that's the next step.
Yeah, I mean, I know he won the British the same day I fought for the English. So that was a fight I was kind of looking at. I don't know how it would have gone if I would have won the English, whether that fight would have come about. But yeah, he's a very experienced fighter. I've seen him fight live against Martin J. Ward.
Yeah,
I thought that was a fight he won, to be honest. He got I think it was a split decision loss. I thought he won that fight. Yeah, but a very experienced fighter. But I'm just taking each fight as it comes. I don't really like the idea of calling people out or bypassing belts. You know, I still want the English before I move to British level.
And who do you have best then at that British level? So you've obviously got Kakachi. You've mentioned Ward. Zelfa Barrett's back out on an Eddie Hearn card. I'm sure you saw that. That was announced last night. I think in a month or so. Who do you think domestically is probably number one? Archie Sharp?
I think domestically, I think Frampton's top. But I mean, he's world level, man. He's above all that. But yeah, I mean, I got the offer to fight Archie not long ago.
Okay.
Yeah, I got a phone call from I got a message from my coach saying Goodwin had contacted him about fighting Sharp, and obviously we said yes. You know, it was in the middle of lockdown. I was training for it.
Sorry, Liam. Was that in lockdown that came through?
Yeah, that was in lockdown. That was before the televised show starts. So I was a bit surprised I got the message about that. But yeah, I started training. My gym was closed at the time, so I was just doing my running. I was meeting my strength and conditioning coach, Patrick Grove-Sandy, and we were doing sprints and that on the field, doing like social distancing circuit training. I then see that he fought Jeff Ofori instead, so he got the offer to fight Jeff Ofori instead, so I didn't get that fight.
That's a shame. Well, look, the fact that they're asking the questions there, mate, is really good. It shows that they're obviously thinking you're in and around that level. I don't like being biased, but I have to probably agree a little bit on the Frampton bit. I think I missed him out domestically because he's been at world level for so long. So before I let you go, obviously that fight's due, I think it's next month, actually. Yeah, it is next month against Jamal Herring. So he's going to he's aiming to become a free-weight world champion, which is a massive, massive achievement if you pull it off, because there aren't many fighters that can say that. How do you fancy his chances in that?
I want him to do it because obviously I've watched Frampton since I was a kid. I think he was just turning professional when I started getting interested in boxing. So I've sort of watched his career. He's been in some big fights. He's been in some great fights.
Definitely.
But yeah, you know, to become a free-weight world champion from Northern Ireland, I think no one's actually done that before from Northern Ireland. There ain't that many.
I want to show my knowledge and name them, but there's only I can't think off the top of my head all of them. I think there's only like 3-4 fighters. Ricky Burns has definitely done it.
Yeah.
One of the Mackenzies have done it.
One of Mackenzie's done it, yeah. I don't remember the other one. I think that was a long time ago.
It will come to me after the interview, and someone will put on the comments that they know it is, which is good. But yeah, again, to be put in, you know, when you think of the world champions we've had, to sit there and go, well, I've won it at 3 different weights, and you know, I'm a fan, just like a lot of people who are going to watch this. For me, when I see fighters step up divisions and keep winning, to defy weight. When you're like half a stone lighter than someone else, or in some cases a stone and a half, you start saying that you're a true great there. And you're right, it'll certainly be the first one from Ireland. But he's got a good chance. So if you had to put your last pound on it, do you think he wins it or not?
Yeah, I think his experience will win him that fight.
Good stuff. Well, let's hope so. Well, look,
he was a big super bantamweight anyway, but probably a bit too big. So I don't think he's got the size against him in that fight.
Yeah,
So
he's slick. He's a great boxer as well, as you said,
yeah,
and his experience where he has been beat Leo Santa Cruz, but he won one of the fights as well, so that put you
yeah,
there. And the other one was against Josh Warrington, and to be fair, Josh deserved that on the night. I felt.
that was a cracking fight. I think Josh is very underrated.
Agreed. Yeah.
I think a lot of people, because a lot of people, man, he's been an underdog his last few fights. I think against Frampton, against Selby,
Mm.
so against Dennis Sealand. So I think yeah, he earned that. I think he deserved that fight.
I'm with you on Josh Warrington. I almost feel like he's got such a good regional support from Leeds, as I'm sure you've seen when they sell out the arenas up there, and there's so and he's undefeated and he's beaten top draw names, world champions like Lee Selby and Carl Frampton, as you said. Kid Galahad, there's another one. So
yeah, he's very fit. He throws a lot of punches. He's got a great engine on him. Probably the best in British boxing at the moment.
Well, he's out again. That got announced on an Eddie card last night. Again, I'm sure you saw. I think he was the first one out in maybe February the 10th or something. So not sure on the level of opponent there, but if he comes through that, they've got to start when the crowds are back. They've got to start asking maybe if he goes abroad to America and start having them big fights. A bit like Frampton did, right? Frampton had a couple of fights over there, so it's good.
Yeah.
Well, look, really good chatting to you, Liam. Good chat about your career and stuff like that. Hopefully, once, as I spoke to Steve earlier, once these events are up and running again, we'll come and watch you when you're down at your second home, York Hall. I think he's already booked out the arena for a few times later in the year to get some fights. Yeah. I'm sure you'll be on that card, mate.
Oh, thank you very much.
Any shout out? Have you got any sponsors? Do you want to shout out for sponsors?
Yeah, I'll shout out to Scaffolding. That's the company I work for. Cool. They've sponsored me since my pro debut. Jay's motor company and mechanics, AGM fencing suppliers, my sports therapy team, SV Sports Therapy, and yeah, obviously my gym, Team Spa in Chingford.
Good stuff, mate. Well, we look forward to seeing you when you're back out in action. All right. Thanks for your time, Liam.
Thank you very much.
Cheers, mate.
If you enjoyed the video, feel free to hit the like, subscribe, and share. As always, if you want to support us to the next level, head over to the patreon.com/ThaBoxingVoice. We have tons of exclusive from Border Wars, Entitled, betting shows, the list goes on and on and on. But in addition to that, if you guys have questions for fighters, trainers, and promoters, this is where you can submit them. We will run out, get these questions answered, and put it back on the show just for you guys. Appreciate it. Peace.